I'm already sweating and I've only filmed the intro. As you can see, I have a bit of a problem. These are all of my books that are currently not shelved. Some of these are new books. Some of them are books that I've had and I've just taken them off the shelf and then I don't feel like putting them back. Or especially like books that I end up buying and I don't feel like sorting them, so I'll end up throwing them in a pile. And these are the ones that I've collected probably over the last year or so, I would say. So, I mean, some of these, like I went on vacation over the summer, which, yes, I know it's January, leave me alone, that I brought with me for vacation, and I read them and just never put them back on my shelf. I also have huge issues with these shelves that I can't really go into because it's not a fault of the shelf, it's a fault of my cat that is very cat, and he likes to go behind. I have like cat hair all over my Twilight books because he likes to hang out back there. So I'm wondering if maybe I should do something about that. I keep all of my books kind of not like sideways or facing out very much. I know I have like one section which is like my Grishaverse section, so it's a little niche, so like it's more for display, but everything else I typically like being able to fit as many books as possible. But I do have a little bit of room to work with because I am planning on de-hauling some books. My shelves are pretty full, but there are some things that I want to get rid of, or I plan on getting rid of, so then hopefully that'll make room. Obviously I have some opening spaces where I haven't put some of my books back, but I'm kind of planning on doing a whole reorganizing thing. So I figured first I will go through all of these books here, and I think I'm going to sort them by genre, and also sorting what I want to get rid of, because some of these I have pulled out before because I was like, ugh, I don't want these anymore. So not very many in these piles, but there are definitely some. You're welcome to join me as I take care of these shelves. I think I have a bit of an idea of what I want to do with these shelves, because typically these are the shelves that are in the background of the podcast. So I think I still want these ones to be pretty and have a lot of the books that I want, but maybe books that I don't necessarily want will be moving over that way, which is where the other shelf is that has a whole open shelf. But yeah, let's just get into it, I guess. Alright, well, from these piles, the only ones that I'm getting rid of are these three, I think. So, goodbye. And here's where I think I start getting rid of books off the shelf. So I ended up getting rid of 12 books? 12 books. I've ended up getting rid of 12 books. These are the 12 books and my reasonings why. I probably should have gotten rid of more, but it is really hard for me to get rid of books that I have not read. Typically, I'm not a giver-upper. By giver-upper, I mean DNFer. And also, I'm a very big mood reader, so like some of these I could be like, maybe I'll be in the mood for that. A couple of them I did check out the first page to see if there was maybe something that I was interested in. And some books, this one in particular, if you know what it is, you know what it is. I figured it could probably make a good video out of it because it's supposed to be very bad. And so I thought maybe it's worth. Some books I kept for maybe a hate read, but if I really didn't like it, I got rid of it. Which, caveat for the first two going up, which I'll explain. Good Omens I actually really enjoyed, but with Neil Gaiman's allegations that came out, I just don't want to support this author anymore by having him on my shelves. I only own 2 books by him, which is also American Gods, which I haven't read. I did really enjoy Good Omens, but I don't think I can ever see myself rereading it because of the allegations. And then also there are a couple not so... They use the F slur quite a bit, which I'm not a big fan of non-queer people using that term, especially like 2 straight white men using that term. It's very uncomfortable. And a lot of the time whenever it was used, it was not relevant. It's just a little off. So I really enjoyed this. It was funny, but, and then because of the allegations, I've decided I probably won't read Neil Gaiman again. That's just me. Mind your business. But yeah, so that's why I'm getting rid of these 2, which again, all of these will either be donated to my local bookstore or little free libraries in my neighborhood, or, yeah, that's probably it. I probably won't sell them because too much work for me. The next up is 4 books I'm getting rid of, which is the Divergent series, which, yes, I was a teen girl in 2014. These not necessarily meant a lot to me, but I did go see Divergent, the movie, opening weekend. I read this whenever it came out, and I remember waiting for the other books to come out in 2012 or whatever. But like I read these before, and then like I remember like waiting. I was obsessed with the movies. I reread them. I reread them as an adult, where I read the first 2 and they were fine, just very liberal, derogatory. Allegiant, I think I DNF'd it. I don't even think I finished it. But yeah, here's my dog year on page, oh my God, 230. So I DNF'd this as an adult. I remember really enjoying them as a kid, but then like the ending is not my favorite, and spoiler alerts, I do love whenever they kill the main character, but the way some of the other characters are, yeah, I never read the 4 book, but I bought it because I wanted to have the complete set, but I just never really got around to reading it because I wasn't that interested in it. And there's a reason why they didn't finish making the movies, because this series is lackluster. It's sad. It capitalizes off of the entirety of the dystopian genre that was getting big in 2012, 2014-ish era. I think I could probably do a deep dive onto these, but I don't need the physical copies for that. I can always get them digitally on my Kindle, and they will not be taking up ample shelf room. I Kiss Shara Wheeler. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that Casey McQuiston in her other book, Red, White, and Royal Blue, I have not read it, has some pro-Israel remarks in it. So that's not necessarily my favorite thing about an author. And to me, this just kind of felt like the queer version of Paper Towns by John Green, which if you've read Paper Towns, then you've basically read this book. I feel like it's just replace whoever the main character in Paper Town is. It was an enjoyable read. It just wasn't anything that wowed me necessarily. It's just, with this author also being possibly a Zionist, I don't think that's something that I want to keep on my shelf. Next book I'm getting rid of, which it's the only book I physically bought, which I don't even know why I physically bought it. Whenever I did, I read the first 2 books a couple years ago of the Inheritance Games. Is that what this is all called? Yeah, the Inheritance Games. I read the first two, and I really liked them for being like young adult. And I finished those two, but I didn't realize this third one wasn't out, and I would have read it then, like whenever I was doing a read of the first two books. I would have read this then, but then I never ended up, like, I picked this physical up whenever it came out, but then I was like, oh, I want to reread the first two books before I read this one, which I think I actually own them all digitally, so I'm like, if I ever want to read this, I will just read it digitally, so there's no point in me keeping this hardcover of it, so it no longer serves me. So the reason why I'm getting rid of this book, so I've been thrifting, you know. Is this copy better than this one? Hold on. As you can see, I have 2 copies of the same book because I've been thrifting all of these series of unfortunate events because my sister, I actually think this one's better, so I'm actually gonna get rid of this one. Because my sister got rid of my childhood collection whenever I moved out of my parents' house. It's a whole thing. Yes, I hold a grudge, whatever. So I'm getting rid of this extra copy because I was thrifting it, and then also my friend Hungry Mariah, I'm sure most people know her, but she was also thrifting for me as well, so we ended up with a little bit of an overlap with book number 5, and I don't have book number 10, so waiting on one book basically. Next up we have Butcher and Blackbird by Britton Weaver. This is another book that I read last year. I read this book last year, and because of Book Talk, of course, I bought it because of Book Talk. I read it. It's fine, not really my typical thing that I draw towards in books. Not that I'm a big smut reader, really. I liked some of it. I read the second one. This just really isn't a series for me, and so I'm gonna get rid of this one. The second one I got digitally, so if I end up reading the third one, I'll probably just read it digitally. There's no point in me having the physical copy if I don't love the book, and I'm probably never gonna reread it because I feel like it's not relevant to reread if you already know what happens for these types of books. Some books I will reread, which is why I keep them, but yeah. Next up, My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otesha Mosfeg. This is a book I also reviewed on the podcast with Mariah, and it kind of just left me unimpressed. I kind of predicted that something would happen if you know early on and mentions a certain year that it takes place and a certain city that they're in, and so you're kind of like, well, this is a very important thing in United States modern history that has happened in this city, and so I'm kind of like, if this is where this ends up, I'm kind of not surprised, and it did kind of end up like that, which is fine, but I just wasn't very impressed with this. I thought it was really monotonous and boring, and the main character is supposed to be insufferable, yes, I know, but she's also boring, and I did not care about anything that was happening to her. Full review is on the podcast, though, if you really care about mine and Mariah's whole thoughts on it. We're kind of the same. I don't think it's worth me having a physical copy, especially whenever the physical copy's cover is shorter than the pages. Irks my nerves. It really does. It makes an uncomfortable reading experience. Just make this a little bit longer, and then we won't have these issues. But yes, I'm getting rid of that. And then finally, I'm getting rid of This Is How You Lose the Time War, which is, again, another book that I liked but didn't love. And I feel like for some of these other books that I'm keeping, if I've read them, typically I'm planning either a reread of them, or I'm planning, not like planning like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna reread them this day, but I love them, or I think they're relevant, or I enjoyed them enough to want to keep them displayed on my shelf. This is not one of them. I do think another person could probably experience the story and appreciated it more than I did. This is a book about 2 women who fall in love that are in like opposing like sides of a war, I guess you would say. They're both like, it's very like spy film coded, which I'm not necessarily super into, and it's also written very poetically, and I think honestly I would have enjoyed this more if it was in like a TV show medium rather than a book, just because I do think there are certain, the way that it's written sometimes I'm a little lost and I wasn't wholly vibing with it. It wasn't one of those ones that I just like couldn't put down. I didn't really get the emotional connection to the characters, so it's not really something for me, but I do think somebody else could appreciate this in their life. Not me though. So those are the books that I'm getting rid of. So every other book I'm keeping, and now I have to somehow rearrange this to fit coming with me on a field trip, to get these books in there on that shelf and these books, excluding the books that just fell on the floor. Do we believe in me? The question is, do I believe in myself? And I think if I can't get all of these onto here, I do have some ideas about moving some stuff over to that other shelf that I call my boyfriend shelf, because it's all books that he picks out. Would it be stupid if I take off all the books? Maybe I'll take them off shelf at a time, because I probably do need to dust these shelves. Hot take. Hot fucking take. I don't hate the mini books, okay? I love the mini books. I think they're very cute. I hate Mini Brand's version of the mini books because all of the books are kind of lame, not gonna lie. There's only a few that I like, and they don't stay in the bookshelf, and there's no bookends, and I don't like the magnifying glass, and I don't like the bookmark. This has been Kristen de-influencing you on mini books, which I don't know. I hate the mini books, and I think I'm gonna get rid of this bookshelf and the mini books in it because I can, and it's my shelf. And my cat just knocks it over, which is why half of them are gone and I only know where 3 are. So I think for at least these shelves up here, these two, I'm gonna keep them basically the same, so I'm not gonna like take all the books out and sort them. These shelves, these two, or these, can't see where I'm pointing, but these shelves will get more in-depth sorted up top, not because I'm pretty happy with what I have. Life hack: if you can't fit all the books back into the box, you put it like this and you just tied it in the back. Another reason, don't have cute bookshelves if you have a cat, because then you'll end up with broken signage. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I hate the Rule of Wolves and King of Scars covers, so I take them off. I want to give away for the arc of the Familiar, which is like, could you imagine a better person to win the arc? Am I right, ladies? Yeah, so I got this cute little bag. We ended up getting some chocolate from someplace. That's what this little box is. And it was funny because I had already pre-ordered Ninth House with like my local bookstore, so I could get this wooden bookmark. I feel like I'm one of the few people that would greatly appreciate all of these things, and I'm so grateful and lucky that I won that giveaway very randomly too. Get these two books out of my piles because I found two hardbacks, which I don't have hardbacks. Well, besides these hardbacks, these will never be read. I'm sorry, I don't know if people are against that. I spent $200 on these 3 books. I will not be reading them. These are for the Be to the Shelf. However, I don't know if I'll reread these either. I'll probably just reread my paperback, but I found 2 hardcovers on clearance at my local bookstore, so. I don't know. I'll leave it like that for now. So, unfortunately, that means Ninth House and Hellbent. I haven't read them yet. Fake Lee Bardugo fan, I know. But those will be downgraded to wherever the rest of fantasy ends up going. Man, I'm hungry. Anyways, shelves are adequately cleared. I'm going to wipe them down. One day, I would like to invest in getting another shelf for this one, but the day is not today, so we're gonna deal with the 2 giant shelves, maybe double stack. We'll see how that goes. Since these shelves don't line up perfectly, I might do fantasy here and here, maybe splitting up a little bit into adult fantasy on one side, young adult on the other. Not sure if I have enough of either of those to fill the whole shelf. So I might do a young adult shelf, but I'll see how much I have which actually I'll probably cut all this out, and then whenever they're in piles, I'll be back. Oh my god, I look like a mess. Anyways, for you guys, it's only been a few minutes. For me, it's been a few hours. All of my books are now sorted. Okay, it's not as bad as it seems. Books are all sorted now, and now they will go into here. I just mostly decide how I want to do that, because some books do end up having only one. This is the only young adult dystopian that I have. Like, that's it's not a standalone, but I only have the one. So I'm gonna like push that in with young adult fantasy. So I think I'm gonna start with fantasy first up here. At least adult fantasy. I have two big piles of those, and I'm going to organize them by author's last name. Next up, we're doing young adult fantasy here, and dystopian science fiction-esque. Literary books here, adult, and then probably split in half. Romance, adult romance, which I only have 4. And only 1 young adult romance. So, what genre does Kristen like to read most? Answer now in the comments below. Are you here to help? Thinking I have a pile of like contemporary young adult fiction, and then I have a pile of young adult thrillers. So I think I'll do thriller first into contemporary if they all fit, which I hope they do. If you cannot see, the sun is setting and my bookshelves are done. I finished them today. They're done. I reorganized my whole 2 bookshelves. We're not going to talk about the other bookshelves. And yes, I know technically Twilight is missing. It's on my other shelf, not pictured. And I just realized I left out my adult horror. So that gets to go on the other shelf as well. Goodbye. But these are my shelves. They look really good. They may not look that different to you, but they look so different to me. And now I get to sit and live with them to be like this until next week when I inevitably buy more books and there's no room for them. But other than that, I think that's how it'll be for now. I want to try to do this maybe once a year in the new year, because then I can actually get rid of books that I don't end up liking as much in the future or whatever comes along. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. If you like this video, like it. If you have anything you want to say to me, I'll read every single comment down below. And other than that, thank you for watching.